Hi, my name is Tobias Goebel. I'm a senior pre-sales consultant for VoiceObjects, and I'd like to show you our software. So what we do is we have a phone application server. It's a software that covers the entire life cycle of a voice application. So from development and design to deployment, maintenance and monitoring, as well as reporting and statistics. So what I want to show you today is our GUI. It's actually the development environment, VoiceObjects Desktop. And I want to show you the VoiceObjects Desktop for Eclipse version. So it's an Eclipse plugin with which you can develop and maintain your voice application. So let's have a look. First, what I'll do is I'll show you how to use another tool that we have as part of our desktop. It's called the Storyboard Manager. The Storyboard Manager is based on Microsoft Excel, and it's a tool specifically aimed at prompt designers. They can use to write prompts required for your voice application and define the file names and define the general rough structure of the application. So they would use the tool here in Microsoft Excel to come up with a storyboard like this that simply holds the file names and the prompt texts. And once the prompt designer is done, what you would do is you would let the tool create code that you can then import into VoiceObjects Desktop. So this is the management console of this tool, and down here there's a button that says Generate VoiceObjects XML. So if I click on it, it generates a file which I can then import into our desktop. So let's do that. I'll switch over to the desktop for Eclipse. So this is how it looks like. It's basically an Eclipse plugin. So I am in a fresh project here, and all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the code that the Storyboard Manager has just created and import it into this project. So this is kind of the step where you go from the design phase over to the development phase, where you hand it over from the prompt designer, from the VUI designer, voice user interface designer, to the developer that then takes that work and starts putting together the bits and pieces into a callable application. So I'm going to look for that file here and import it. So what's happening now, the system reads out the file and stores the application, the rough skeleton, as objects in our database. So once that's done, you see that out of the storyboard you already have a variety of objects here that cover the application that you want to build. So each VoiceObjects application is made out of dialog objects that each represent one particular piece of dialog functionality. So all you need to do now is put together the bits and pieces so all the objects now to a flow. So since the work from the designer is done and the audios are in place, all you need to do is, through a graphical approach here, take the objects with a drag and drop approach and put them to a call tree, which is a representation of how this flow would then finally go about. So this obviously consists of a welcoming message followed by a main menu that has 4 items. You see the red color here, that means the destination of that item is not yet defined. So what you need to do as a developer is take the target objects and put them into the correct places. So let's do that. I double click on the main menu object, and up comes the editor for that object. So this is a representation of the particular functionality of this main menu object that represents a welcoming message and 4 different menu items. So the application scenario here, by the way, is that of a telco self-service application that offers service plan manager, customer data, billing, and support. So all I need to do now is I need to go into these items and drag the objects that I want. Let's say for service plans I want to transfer to an agent. So I drag and drop the object from the object browser over to the editor at the correct place, drop it here so it's linked there. For customer data, let's suppose what I want to enable the caller to is change their payment settings. So I'll create a new module for that, go to the right hand side and double click on module. Up comes the editor now for a module, and I call it customer data. Save the module, don't define anything else. That's what I later on do in our dialog designer by dragging and dropping. So customer data is defined, it shows up here on the left hand side. So again I drag and drop it here onto the object field of the customer data item. And billing and support, I want to reuse the transfer to agent object that I've already used for the service plans item. That's why we have an object-oriented approach, which allows you to reuse objects that you have created once. So I use it here, and I also use it for support, just for the sake of this demonstration. I save the object, I switch over to the module, and you'll see that this view refreshes, and now you have a fully functional main menu consisting of different menu items. You see also that the display stops here at that module, customer data, and the reason for that is that we want to keep it simple. We don't want to confuse you with a big call tree. We want to enable you to modularize your application so that you can keep the overview, and it's easier to maintain your application. So I can then right-click on that one, say Display Dialog, and in a new tab, there's now the empty sequence for customer data, and I have some ready prepared objects here, input objects, credit card type, credit card number. So these are objects that ask the caller for, hey, to change your payment settings, please first give me your credit card type. So I drag and drop that input object onto the sequence. So it appears here as the first object. Then after the type, I want to ask for the number, so I drag and drop it here. So you see the number right here. And finally, I want to repeat what I have collected, so I have an output object for that. I drag and drop the output object onto that sequence. So now you have a nice flow of get the type, get the number, and repeat what you have just gathered. Again, you see here that even though I have made changes to the customer data, it doesn't show up here in that view, again, to keep it simple. So now I'm ready with my application. That's all I wanted to build. So now what I can do is actually I can deploy that application to the embedded VoiceObjects server. So within Desktop for Eclipse, there's an embedded version of our phone application server, the VoiceObjects server. And it's also available, by the way, on our website. If you go to developers.voiceobjects.com, you can download the entire product, what you've seen here. And it comes with an embedded database for the application and with an embedded server for deployment. So if you're done with your development, just deploy the application and test it. So all I'm going to do is I'm right-clicking, select Test Application here on my root object, and that deploys the application now to the local VoiceObjects server. And down here you will soon see a tab that says Test Monitor. So this is the place where it holds the application, and all it now requires, in case you have set up a speech platform, which I have here locally, you just click on Call, and you can actually place the call and interact with the application you've just built. So basically, bottom line is, with VoiceObjects, it's very easy to rapidly build applications from a design perspective using Excel, a well-known interface for prompt designers. Do the design of the application, import that code into the desktop, arrange the objects to a callable flow at the business logic, at the backend access, deploy it on the server, and give it a call. And in the end, you have a callable application in a matter of a few minutes if you just need a prototype. And once you deploy the application on the server, and if you do it in production on a real-time server, what you also get when people call in then is the analytics. So the server also logs information on what's going on in the calls, information like how does the ASR perform, what are the confidence values, what are the utterance values, and in the end, you have a very nice, environment in which you can do all out of one hand: development, deployment, maintenance, monitoring, and finally analysis and reporting. So thanks for your attention. I hope you liked it, and visit us at www.voiceobjects.com.